Origin-wise, Pokemon gym leaders have only gotten better as time goes on. We started with, hey, I'm Brock. I be Rock-type. And that was his personality. Him wanting to be a Pokemon breeder was an anime thing that later made its way into the games, but originally, he's just Brock. He be Rock. But now, in Scarlet and Violet, our first gym leader is Katy, which, first off, works great as a realistic name on its own, but it's also short for Katydid, because she's a bug-type gym leader, but with additional underlying themes. Being the sugar bug, she is also a baker, and insects make all kinds of sweet treats like honey and honeydew. And what is the first thing that ants at a picnic go for? The sweet treats. Always. She gets a more extreme hourglass figure, which along with her baker's hat gives her the 3-segmented body look that most insects have. And the little swirly patterns on her hat resemble bug antennae. Her outfit, being all brown, is also perfect both for a bug and a baker at a nice fancy cafe. And really, the only odd thing about her is that she doesn't use a Combi or Vespiquen, even in her rematch team. But she does use a Teddiursa that she terastallizes into a bug type, which is brilliant because bears love honey. It's like drugs to them. So sweet, so calorie-rich, perfect for fattening up. Thus, they sniff out beehives for miles. And you could say that this makes Teddiursa a bugbear, which is a hobgoblin-like legendary boogeyman kind of creature, and one that, for whatever reason, Spain, along with other Mediterranean regions, commonly carved into coconut powder flasks. Insects are often associated with dust and powder, and given these flasks would be mostly filled with gunpowder, it's worth bringing up the bug type's weakness to fire, and the bug type move Powder that just scatters explosive powder all over the opponent. Lovely. But still, compare all that to Bugsy, the first bug-type gym leader ever. What's his personality? Oh, he's a young bug catcher, and people often mistake him for a girl. We've come a long way. Though that's not to say all of the older gym leaders are plain by comparison, though. Here's our video covering all of the gym leaders from Kanto to Galar. And now, join me as we go over Paldea's. Oh yeah, and also, pretty much all of the important humans in Pokemon are named after a plant, too. In her case, the Kaede, Japanese for maple, which makes sweet and delicious maple syrup. But moving on to Brassius, the verdant virtuoso, we have a name that sounds a bit like grass, or maybe even gracias, Spanish for thank you. But hold that thought. The Brassica family is a huge family of flowering plants, the most famous of them being Brassicus oleracea, which is very tall and lanky, like Brassius himself. But Brassius oleracea isn't the only Brassica our lanky guy is named after, especially given that he's so easily associated with cooking oils via the Smoliv line, which points us to the scientific name for rapeseed, Brassica napus. It's what one of the most common cooking oils is made from, canola oil. It's also one of the worst oils for you, a lot of systemic inflammation thanks to that, which is pretty funny since he has a Smoliv and the Smoliv line are like olive oil incarnate, and olive oil is one of the healthiest and tastiest of the oils. It's part of what makes the Mediterranean diet so good and good for you. But anyway, gosh, his vibe. The hair resembling thorny vines, the thorny vine whip, the jacket. That jacket slays. He made all of the statues around Artisan, though he now struggles to continue with art. Overall, he is very much so the tortured artist trope, especially in the anime. On top of all of the harvest statues around Artisan, which depict an Arbalava with a head and body of thorny vines, he also makes mini statues of the Sunflora that call the town home. Sunflora's whole deal is that
Sunflora represents the sun. In other words, symbols of light and happiness.
And to make it somber and surrendering is to show the deep despair he felt himself.
I don't know anything about art, but beneath this seemingly humorous expression, I sense a bottomless despair, as well as a sense of liberation.
Exactly what I was trying to convey! Avant-garde!
An avant-garde, 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 avant-garde.
It's a French term meaning new and unusual or experimental ideas, especially in the arts. And that's not his only quirk. He's also the only gym leader who doesn't raise a Pokeball when challenging you, instead raising his thorny whip, which just goes to show his feelings further. Also, how perfect is him using Sudowoodo? A rock type, a fake tree, petrified wood, pseudo wood, and then he terastallizes it to be grass type, like the other tree Pokemon. He even calls it truly Wudo. That is such an artist move. Ceci n'est pas une pipe and all that. Famous 1929 surrealist painting with the aforementioned text, which translates to, "This is not a pipe." Because it isn't. It's a painting of a pipe, aka a representation of a pipe, not a real one. Just like Sudowoodo here. It's not a tree, though it's grass type now, because it is a representation of a tree. How actually avant-garde. Love it. And now we go to Lavencia, which aesthetically looks like the biggest city in Paldea, though in the real world, Valencia, on which it's based, is the third biggest city in Iberia. But still, big cities often attract electric types. So sure enough, the gym leader here is Iono, who's also a streamer, and one who takes on a lot of VTuber traits. Pastel colors, oversized accessories, ooh-woo cute anime girl with fantasy-colored eyes, and impossibly sharp teeth. Not to mention her hair clips that inexplicably are pastel chibi Magnemite, but aren't actually. It's just more VTuber nonsense, just like her speaking mannerisms. Just over the top with the emoting and the arm movements and the screaming, because that's how you maintain attention.
Let me hit you up with this eyeball snatching title I brainstormed for my next stream. Gym leader Iono infiltrates this weird academy. You won't believe what she finds. As thanks, here's a triple S teardrop, the mega exclusive Iono merch.
Speaking of, I've got a merch store blowout sale going on right now, and once it's sold, it's gone for good. Gnoggin.net.
Who gets more eyeballs than me? I don't know.
Ooh, wait, that's part of her name origin, isn't it? Iono is very informal slang for a casual I don't know. There's a kid in Blueberry Academy that mentions it too. Aren't you that kid who is on the Iono zone? Who's a what's it? Iono! But of course, the name is primarily from ionosphere, which is the electrically charged part of the atmosphere. Oh, and fun fact, the ionosphere is also the reason why radio is even able to exist in the first place. And radio hosts were basically the first streamers, right? When it comes to her name in other languages, she definitely has one of the most interesting sets, which also features the idea of Iono being I don't know. Italian, who will it be? Brazilian Portuguese, what will it be? Korean, what is it? French, thingy, or that one thing I don't remember, it's on the tip of my tongue, oh, who's a what's it? And her original Japanese mixes Dynamo, the electric generator that her main Pokemon Bellibolt is, with Nanjamonja, meaning what is it? But also interestingly, it's an informal Japanese name for any of a few species of trees that grow unusually large in some specific place. Like if a single Tilia tree grew in the middle of a garden, it would be a Nanjamonja. So that's where you get your plant. And I suppose in being a streamer of questionable fame, her audience is unusually large and in a particular place. Whatever Poke-Twitch is. I say questionable fame because while she does have plenty of viewers, it does seem that her viewers like watching her lose more than win. It's like hate watchers, or folks that just want to watch a train wreck in slow motion. One bit of evidence, when she beats you, she says,
Nah, you won this time. I know, but my viewership numbers zoomed up way less than usual. By far.
Maybe that's a part of why she terastalizes a Mismagius too. She says it's to make it practically invincible. After all, being electric type while having the levitate ability means you practically don't have any weaknesses. But part of me wonders if that's also because Mismagius is a witch, which is also how you would describe many long-term influencers who care about numbers and fame more than anything. So this video is sponsored by StartPlaying. Millions of people love the idea of playing Dungeons & Dragons or other tabletop RPGs, but scheduling with your own group or even finding a group or just finding someone in your group willing to DM and all that is pain. Like, I hosted a long-form game once, and while I loved it, it still took me days of prep, and I just don't have the time for that anymore. So, such players don't get to play as much as they'd like, but that's where StartPlaying comes in. The largest online game-finding service where over 80,000 players go to jump into thousands of games hosted by professional dungeon masters. You can even find a game today and start playing tonight. You can search by game system, virtual tabletop, theme, style, budget, schedule, and more. I'll even just search Pokemon right now. There's quite a few fan-made Pokemon tabletop game systems enjoyed by many, like Pokemon Tabletop United, Pokemon the role-playing game, and even good old Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition with a homebrewed Pokemon module plugged in. It's diverse, safe, easy, and fun for everyone, even for beginners. Check out startplaying.com with the link below, where new users get $10 off their first game, and, start playing. Oh my gosh, is that why they called it that? Kofu is a weird dude named after kelp, but at least that's fitting. He's the water-type gym leader and the chef and owner of the Kofu Lounge, a seafood restaurant. Kelp is used for all sorts of things in the cooking sphere, including the seaweed and sushi rolls, dashi stock, and as part of poke bowls, and plenty more. Do you think he trains his Pokemon so well because the losers become dinner? So this is perfectly fitting. Veluza is the first Pokemon he sends out, and it's based on the Merluza, or Hake, which is the most most popular seafood fish in Spain and Portugal. Love it. His apron design is definitely one of the most interesting I've ever seen. The extreme excess in the number of pockets makes it resemble ocean waves as seen from above. And actually, that's just rope. Those aren't pockets there. Is this implying this guy is as large as a boat? Some boats have rope hanging just like this along their edges to help people in the water climb up into them. Thus, Kofu must have these on his apron to help you climb up him. Give him a big ol' smooch on the head. Mwah! You know, his assistant does kind of look like me if I were cuter, so that's neat, I guess. But his beard, unibrow, and second unibrow also make an ocean wave pattern, but it's all kind of, I don't know, a bit forced, in my opinion, making Kofu this game's weakest gym leader design, IMHO. But I do like how he was also a teacher for Katy. Always good to have more interconnections with our characters. And he uses a terrestrialized Crabominable. Still my least favorite Pokemon, but at least him using it this way is a fun jab at what folks were saying when Sun and Moon came out. Why are Crabrawler and Crabominable not water type? I did a whole video on that. It's because they are coconut crabs primarily, which live on the coast, yes, but not in the water, because they don't have gills as adults. They are land crabs. They would drown. But now, Kofu is here making it water type anyway. And that's kind of funny. Funny, like Larry. Though it's cool to have someone be both a gym leader and an Elite Four member, even if it's just because the Pokemon League is understaffed and he's filling in. That is such a Larry reason. Oh my word. The Exceptional Everyman is his title, because truly, he is the epitome of the Japanese salaryman trope in every possible way. The outfit, the attitude, the fact that the only two interesting facts about him Iono could mention is that he's been in the Pokemon League for 25 years, which is akin to Japanese salarymen with intense work loyalty, and the fact that eating at a restaurant is his favorite thing to do. This man is just a man. He works for a salary. He is a salaryman. A salary man. Oh my god, it's too good! Plus, Larry is just one of those stereotypical man names, like Bob, Jack, Greg, Jeff, Steve. But you might be wondering, what does that have to do with plants? I had no idea, so I looked into the history of the name Larry, and it turns out it started in Rome in the Middle Ages as Laurentius, meaning crowned with laurel. You know, those wreaths that Romans wear, made of leaves from laurel bushes? Yeah, and sure enough, his Japanese name is the name of the spotted laurel in Japanese. Just like the last time they did a boring generic man gym leader, Larry is a normal type specialist. His Kamala represents his love of sleep and gray, and his Dudunsparce showcases how his eating will make him grow larger as he ages, and also that he likes good music. What an interesting man with interesting hobbies. Food, good music. Wow. He's so interesting, in fact, that when he sends out Staraptor, he then terrestrializes it just to remove its flying type, making it mono-normal like his other Mon. It's not even that big of a change, it's flying normal typically. In fact, he's the only gym leader to do that, terrestrialize a Mon into a type it already is. He just can't be too creative, you know? Just gotta keep it normal. Like him. Inside and outside. Normal his house with a normal little window and a— oh wait, right, he's also the flying type Elite Four member, which is kind of perfectly hinted at given that his strongest Pokemon is Staraptor, a normal and flying type, plus the fact that his hair is a mess. Nothing messes with a typical salaryman's combed and slicked back hair more than some strong winds. All those flying types flying around him constantly would mess his hair up in a not so easily fixed way, huh? And plus, even when specializing in flying, he doesn't stray that far because, fun fact, normal flying is the most common type combo in this franchise, making it the most normal two-type combo to have. And I love him so much. He's so plain and boring, and that's why everyone loves him. Now, how about Ryme? Ryme is reason number 441 that Pokemon needs voice acting bad. Even just the cutscenes, at least, as a bare minimum, please. Ryme is the MC of R.I.P., a rap artist, and her Japanese name is Lyme, which does rhyme with time and rhyme, so that's good. She's a ghost-type specialist whose locks resemble bones. In the back, we've got a spine and ribcage. That is a pelvis. Why did I say ribcage originally? What is wrong with me? And there's arm bones on the front that I guess have some spirit in them, seeing as they can emote along with her. And that is not just some fun anime idea. There's long been a connection between hair and the occult, from witches in Europe using hair to cast spells against certain people, to all sorts of spiritual beliefs in various parts of the African diaspora. Various peoples in West and Central Africa believe locking their hair like this provides spiritual protection. And the Sangomas in Southern Africa wear their hair in locks or tight braids specifically to connect to ancestral spirits. And the Wolof in Senegal believe it allows them to even call upon spirits. And in the Americas, it is believed by some that locks of hair are antennas, making the wearer receptive to spiritual messages. In an interview with Corinne Fabius, writer, entrepreneur, and Afro-Caribbean art expert, she said, "Spirit catchers are a big theme, hair as spirit catchers. I recently met a man who works with women's hair, making them into dreadlocks. He thinks hair is like antennas, and the reason modern people are so out of touch with nature or spirit is because of all the processing we do to our hair, which inhibits communication." And that's all just so cool. Gotta love when Game Freak does their research. Or just has happy little accidents. Rhyme's raps come to her in troubling times. The Musician's Register mentions when Ryme was in her teens, her dear puppy Pokemon passed away, and she poured her grief into a song. And she herself mentions, "You heard my #1 single, A Visit to My Father? The lyrics for that came to me when I was paying respects at my dad's grave." Times of strong emotion often lead to powerful lyrics, and whatever the latest Taylor Swift song is. But considering her eyes roll to the back of her head possession style when she gets into the zone, it's very much like the ghosts of her ancestors are all channeling into her, giving her that inspiration, turning her into the rap legend she is. And you know, her low-key toxicity being terastallized into a ghost type is pretty smart. It's already purple, musical, and down. It just works at bringing the bass to her beats. Tulip, the bewitching beautician. She's both a model and makeup artist, and notes that her Pokemon help her apply makeup because she's on a very tight schedule. Now, you might think, how would an Espathra and Farigiraf help her with makeup? They got no hands. And that's true, but they are also super psychics, so the makeup puff can just float. And I love this detail of her design. Her dress and shoes have these frills that resemble butterfly wings, and via psychic means, they flap as if they were real butterflies. It gives her a whole magical vibe, doesn't it? And come to think of it, she does have those fairy-type trainer eyes, right? A lot of fairy-type specialists have eyes like these, and her design very much evokes fairy themes as well. Kind of eerie. And fairy is the second most common type she uses, though she does terastallize her Florges into a psychic type. Let's see, what does that say? The ribbon part on the chest can also be used as a makeup tool. Well, that's neat. Overall, her being this way is fitting. Spain is often in the top 10 in the export of cosmetics and skincare products list, and is only behind France when it comes to perfume. And her name, Tulip, obviously named after tulips, common flowers renowned for their simple beauty and their meaning in the language of flowers. Generally, tulips represent love and affection, though purple tulips specifically shift that love and affection to a love of noble beauty, wealth, and pride. Then pink ones, because she is kind of a pinkish purple, convey a caring gentleness and a deep sense of gratitude. Funnily, the name Tulip can also simply refer to her two lips. After all, those are second only to the eyes as far as face beauty products go, and her original Japanese name is just Lip. Do you think she has a sister named Ear? And all of her main Pokemon fit the theme of beauty, though I did have to look into giraffes, because I don't typically look at a giraffe and think, yes, that represents beauty. But it turns out they are indeed seen as icons of grace and beauty in many cultures. I just wouldn't get that from the way they drink. Lastly, Grusha, the Sub-Zero Shredder, the second best snowboarder in the world who was forced to retire after a major injury. So now, being a gym leader is all he has left, which keeps him a bit cold. Pun absolutely intended. Perhaps that's to hide his anxiety, but in turn, it also makes him the strongest gym leader in the region. Nothing quite like existential dread to keep you motivated. Mood. I like how the back of his hair resembles icicles. That's fun. And him being a snowboarder, him giving out the TM for the move Ice Spinner upon defeat is pretty fun, since that's kind of like doing a spin trick while snowboarding. But are Spain and Portugal even known for their snowboarding scene? kinda. As the World Snowboard Guide explains for Spain, while it's not as intense as other parts of Europe, it's certainly worth more than a mention, as well as a visit. Spain's Sierra Nevada, not to be confused with the Sierra Nevada in California, is noted as being one of the best skiing areas in southern Europe. And yet it's only an hour drive from the Mediterranean coast. That's nice. Get sore and frigid while snowboarding, and go relax on the nice warm beach afterwards. So how about that name, Grusha? Well, turns out it's easy. Grusha is Russian for pear, and Russia itself is very cold and icy, so there you go. But why is Grusha a pear? Good question. I'm not positive, but I did learn that this is a somewhat common children's riddle in Russian-speaking areas. It means a pear is hanging, but you cannot eat it. When a snowboarder jumps, their hang time is in the air, and you also can't eat them unless... But no, this might be a stretch, but pears are one of those fruit that don't ripen until they break off of the tree and slam into the ground. There's a metaphor here, perhaps. Grusha's injury broke him, but now he's able to ripen or mature from the experience, as traumatic experiences often do. That said, though, the answer to that Russian riddle is light bulb, but still, like, a pear that is still hanging cannot ripen, so you wouldn't want to eat it yet anyway. His terrestrialized Pokemon of choice, Altaria, into an ice type. It does already have an icy color palette whose cloudy wings could resemble snow too. Plus, when snowboarding off of ramps and such, you are launching into the air. A friendly Altaria could keep up with you and help you stay safe from any more accidents while doing so. Pokedex. If it bonds with the person, it will gently envelop the friend with its soft wings, then hum. Aw. Perfect for landing on. And also that's like the stuffing in a big fluffy snow jacket then too. How perfect. And those are the Generation 9 gym leaders. Honestly, I really like them. A good, strong bunch. As far as writing and design goes anyway. They all have too few Pokemon that are under-leveled, and man, can I get any kind of level scaling in Gen 10 as a whole, please? Any? Well, let me know your thoughts. Check out my merch store below, and never stop using your noggin.